On a forgotten planet, at the edge of human maps, a cry echoed through the canyons. Low, trembling, more sorrow than fury. Few would have dared to answer it. But a 12-year-old girl named Arya did. What she found was no myth, no bedtime story. A wounded alien dragon, its mouth pierced by a cruel thorn, its eyes heavy with pain and trust. In that moment, a child's courage would ignite a bond that could challenge empires. If you love stories where humanity's smallest voices make the loudest difference, you're in the right place. Hit like to support the channel, subscribe so you never miss these incredible tales, and share this video with a friend who loves epic HFY stories. Together, let's explore worlds where courage, compassion, and humanity leave their mark among the stars. The canyon stretched for miles, a labyrinth of stone carved by alien winds. Arya loved wandering here, away from the noise of her parents' research camp. At 12, she already craved solitude, the kind that let her imagination run wild across cliffs and shadows. But that afternoon, silence broke. A sound drifted through the rocks, low, trembling, almost like a wounded animal's cry. Her first instinct was to freeze. What kind of creature could survive in such a hostile landscape? Her heart hammered, her palms slick. Yet curiosity was stronger than fear. She had grown up exploring worlds that most humans only saw on star maps. If she turned back now, she would never forgive herself. So she pressed on. Each step echoed against stone, amplifying her nervous breaths. The cry returned, softer this time, a whimper laced with exhaustion. Arya swallowed hard. It didn't sound like a predator's growl. It sounded lonely. She edged closer, hands brushing the canyon wall for balance until the shadows gave way. And then she saw it. Scales that shimmered like liquid metal, wings folded tight and eyes glistening with both fury and pain. A dragon, real, alive, and impossibly wounded. The creature lay curled in a shallow crevice, its massive body trembling with every labored breath. Arya's throat went dry. Dragons were supposed to be myths, stories told on Earth to frighten or inspire. But here, before her, was no myth. Its scales shimmered with a metallic sheen, each plate edged with ridges that looked sharp enough to cut stone. The wings, vast, folded like sails, twitched with restless pain. But it wasn't the size or the shimmer that held her frozen. It was the eyes. They weren't wild. They weren't hateful. They carried something softer, almost pleading, and then she saw why. A thorn, not like any thorn she had ever seen. Twisted, blackened, and cruel, it jutted deep into the corner of the dragon's mouth. Dark fluid seeped around it, staining its scales. Every time the creature tried to breathe, a shudder ran through its chest, a muffled whimper escaping between clenched jaws. Arya's fear battled with something stronger. Compassion. She knew this beast could end her life with a single swipe. Yet it looked less like a monster and more like a prisoner trapped by pain. For a long moment, girl and dragon simply stared at each other. Two fragile beings bound by suffering and silence. Arya's legs trembled as she inched forward, every instinct screaming to run. The dragon's chest rose and fell, its breath a ragged rasp. One wrong move, one sudden sound, and it could unleash fire, or worse. But she couldn't walk away, not after seeing that thorn. "Easy," she whispered, her voice barely louder than the canyon wind. She stretched out her hand, trembling, as if reaching across a void. The dragon's eyes tracked her, narrowing, yet it did not strike. Instead, it shuddered, the faintest rumble vibrating through its chest. Arya swallowed. She had pulled splinters from her own hand before, from her father's gloves, even from the paw of a stray dog back on Earth. But this was no splinter. This was a spike lodged in the jaw of a creature that could level a city. Still, she leaned closer. Her fingers brushed the warm scales of its snout. Smooth, hard, alive. The dragon flinched, but didn't pull away. For a fleeting second, its eyes closed, like it was surrendering just a little to her touch. Arya's pulse thundered. She wrapped both hands around the thorn, braced herself, and whispered to the beast and to herself alike, "This might hurt." With one sharp pull, Arya yanked the thorn free. The dragon's roar exploded through the canyon, shaking dust from the cliffs. Its head jerked upward, wings snapping open in a blinding shimmer of metal and light. Arya stumbled backward, her heart hammering. For a terrifying second, she thought she had doomed herself. The creature towered over her, eyes burning, chest heaving with raw power. She braced for fire, for the end, but instead the dragon lowered its head. Slowly. Deliberately. Its massive form casting a shadow that felt less like a threat, more like shelter. Its gaze locked onto hers, and in that silence she saw something impossible. Gratitude. The sound that followed was not a growl, but a deep, rolling purr. It vibrated through the ground, into her bones, into her very chest. Arya's fear broke into a shaky smile. She reached out, brushing the scar where the thorn had been. The dragon didn't flinch. Instead, it nudged her gently, as if testing her courage once more. Then it did something she never expected. It unfolded one vast wing around her, protective, almost like an embrace. The message was clear. She had freed it. And now, it was offering her trust. The dragon's wings swept around her again, this time nudging her toward its side. Arya hesitated, breath caught in her throat. Could it be inviting her? Her gaze darted back toward the camp miles away, where her parents were no doubt busy cataloging rocks and flora. But her heart told her the truth. This was a chance she could never get again. Hands trembling, she climbed onto its back. The scales were rough beneath her palms, warm with life, solid as iron. She barely had time to hold on before the dragon surged upward. The ground fell away. Wind ripped through her hair, sharp and cold, carrying scents she couldn't name. Minerals, storms, alien blossoms. The canyon shrank to a ribbon, then vanished as they soared higher. Arya's fear melted into awe. Below them stretched a planet alive with wonders, rivers glowing like molten metal, fields of plants pulsing with bioluminescent light, mountains that glittered like crystal spires. The dragon flew with effortless grace, weaving between jagged peaks and gliding over valleys lit by alien fireflies. Arya clung tight, not out of fear anymore, but exhilaration. For the first time in her life, she felt free, not just a passenger in her parents' world, but part of something greater. Hours passed in a blur of sky and wind until the dragon descended into a hidden valley, shielded by two towering peaks. Arya slid off its back, legs shaky but eyes wide with wonder. This place was unlike anything she had seen before. Strange plants glowed softly, their vines curling like living lanterns. Flowers pulsed with golden light, as though the valley itself was alive. Arya wandered forward, her small hand brushing leaves that shimmered at her touch. Then she saw it, symbols carved into the canyon walls. They weren't random markings. They pulsed faintly, rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat, a language, a story. The dragon stepped forward, pressing its snout to the carvings. At once the symbols brightened, bathing its face in warm light. Arya gasped as visions burst into her mind. Dragons soaring through alien skies, ancient wars, humans, or something like them, wielding cruel weapons shaped like thorns. She staggered, clutching her head. The truth settled heavy in her chest. That thorn she had pulled wasn't just an accident of nature. It was a weapon, designed to subjugate, to enslave. Her breath caught. "They tried to control you," she whispered. The dragon's eyes met hers, and in that silent exchange a bond deepened, one of defiance and shared pain. The valley's glow felt sacred, untouched by human greed. But peace never lasted long. A sharp crack split the silence. Arya spun toward the cliffs. Figures were descending, armored, faceless, moving with mechanical precision. Soldiers. Her stomach dropped. She had heard whispers of them before. The Unity Corps. Explorers, her parents called them. But in hushed tones came the truth. Conquerors. The dragon rose to its feet, muscles coiled, wings half spread as though it already knew these intruders. Its low growl rumbled through the valley, warning and rage intertwined. One soldier stepped forward, holding a sleek metallic device, his voice distorted by a cold helmet filter. "Step back, child. That creature is classified property of the Unity Corps. Interference carries severe consequences." Arya's pulse hammered in her ears. Property? The word burned. She remembered the Thorn, the visions of control, and suddenly it all made sense. These people had done this before. She swallowed hard, voice trembling but fierce. "It's not your property. It's alive. It's free." The soldier didn't flinch. His hand tightened on the device. Behind him, the others leveled their weapons. Arya felt the dragon shift closer, placing itself between her and the soldiers. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. The soldier's visor gleamed as he raised the device higher. "Step aside," he ordered, "or you'll join it in containment." Arya's throat tightened. She was only 12. No armor. Just her shaking hands and a heart that refused to back down. She stepped forward anyway, placing herself squarely between the dragon and the guns. "If you want it, you'll have to go through me." For a moment, silence. Then, motion. Two soldiers lunged toward her. The dragon roared, and the valley trembled. Its wings snapped open, sending a gale that knocked men off balance. Blinding light glinted off its scales as it surged upward, scooping Arya onto its back with a single sweep of its head. Blaster fire split the air, searing past them. Arya clung to the dragon's scales as it launched skyward, dodging beams with impossible agility. Below, soldiers scrambled, shouting, firing wildly. But freedom was not so simple. From the canyon shadows, engines roared. A sleek metallic craft rose, massive and menacing, locking onto them. Arya's heart sank. Of course the hunters had a ship, and it was coming straight for them. The dragon dove, twisting through alien skies as beams of searing light chased them. Arya clung tight, teeth gritted against the wind tearing at her face. Below, a dense forest spread like a living sea, its canopy glowing faintly with bioluminescent vines. "Down there," she shouted, pointing. The dragon banked hard and plunged into the trees. The ship hovered above, searchlights cutting through the canopy. Soldiers dropped into the undergrowth, armored boots thudding, weapons gleaming. Arya's breath came fast. They weren't giving up. Then the dragon let out a low, resonant call that echoed through the forest. Silence followed. And then, answers. Shadows stirred, shapes moved between the trees. More dragons, emerging one by one, their scales shimmering, their eyes blazing with fury. Arya's chest swelled with awe. This was no lone beast. This was a people. A family. The soldiers advanced, confident in their weapons. But the forest came alive. Dragons roared, wings thundering as they struck. Soldiers fired, energy bolts cracking the air, nets of light snapping toward their targets. Arya ducked behind a fallen trunk, heart pounding. The clash was chaos, metal against scale, technology against instinct. Yet for the first time, Arya felt hope. The hunters had underestimated what they were facing. The battle raged, but then the ground itself began to tremble. Roots burst upward, glowing with veins of light, coiling around armored legs and dragging soldiers down. The forest was fighting back. Arya stared in awe as the planet itself seemed to answer the dragon's call. The hunters screamed, their weapons useless against living Earth. Even the commander, tall and menacing, was dragged under by writhing roots. His final threat faded into silence. And then, stillness. The dragons stood tall, victorious not through brute force but through harmony with their world. Arya placed a hand on her dragon's side, her heart full of gratitude and sorrow. She knew this was goodbye. It lowered its head, nudging her gently one last time. With tears in her eyes, she whispered, "Thank you." She climbed off as the creature spread its wings, rising with the others into the fading light. Arya watched them disappear across the horizon, free again, guardians of their own sky. Back at camp, her parents embraced her, their relief overwhelming. But Arya only looked upward, a secret smile on her lips. Somewhere out there, dragons soared, wild, untamed, and forever bound to her heart. And that was the story of Arya, the girl who freed a dragon and discovered an entire world as secret. Sometimes the bravest act isn't about strength, but about compassion. If this tale moved you, hit like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who loves HFY stories.